BizNews Power Hour.
Welcome to the BizNews Power Hour, where we give you the rational perspective on business news that matters. We do indeed, and well, there's lots of news coming up for you. We're going to be taking a very close look at a landslide victory, shock victory, for the opposition party in Zambia. The opposition party is a free enterprise party, one that appealed to the youth of that country, telling the youth that the best way out of the economic crisis is through jobs. Familiar? Well, perhaps it is showing what could happen in South Africa, where the incumbent, who'd won the last 5 elections, was soundly defeated in a landslide. We'll be finding out more about that, and particularly what the South African opposition, or the main opposition parties, think about it, whether or not this opens the door in a similar situation here in South Africa. We'll also be talking tonight more about Transnet and finding out how that is going to be going forward, given that the ports of South Africa are now going to be privatized, or at the very least bringing in private operators. But before we get into all of that, with Stephen Nathan, of course, our Tuesday evening guest, here is my colleague Stuart Lohman. And Stu, what's being read on biznews.com today?
Alec, just the big story, obviously COVID, we don't get around it. My colleague Nadia Swat put together a piece with a whole range of views, and that's sort of really doing nicely, getting some conversation going. It was the bit of Susan Vosloo, there's a bit of Dr. Chetty, who I know you chatting to. I'm not sure if it's...
No, Dr. Chetty I spoke to on Sunday. Nadia, you're in our Cape Town, or in our virtual studio, joining us from Cape Town. I guess you are now going to be called the anti-vaxxer. It seems every time that we publish...
That time has come and gone. I've been labelled.
Isn't it astonishing? If you're a journalist giving both sides of the story, suddenly you're anti-vaxxer. We got a Mark...
Humphreys from FMR.
Not Humphreys.
Not Humphreys. Sorry.
Sorry. We're gonna anyway. Mark from FMR, the station manager, sent us on something today. There's a listener in FMR who's very angry with us because they believe that I am an anti-vaxxer. And why are you giving airtime to an anti-vaxxer? Well, now, Mr. Listener, just let's put this on the record. I've had my vaccine. I've had COVID. If I hadn't had my vaccine, I'm pretty sure I would have had COVID a heck of a lot worse. And you might have noticed, if you're a long-term listener, I haven't missed a skipped a day, not a day, thanks to the vaccine. So no, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but what we do at BizNews is we give every side of the story. So if Dr. Susan Vosloo, who is South Africa's first female heart transplant surgeon, has a view on COVID, Nadia, we should give her the opportunity to state it.
100%. I completely agree. I think her credentials are valid. She has very valid points of view. And if we're going to air other people's opinions, she deserves to be heard as well. We're not taking her side. It's just another professional opinion.
So, Stu, that's what we believe in, and we'll stick to it, that we will be giving all sides of the view and allowing our brilliant community to make up their own mind.
Well, I think that's the value, Alec. You can't tell people what they should believe in. You give them opinions, and they have the intelligence to decide what's best for them. So it's a big credential of BizNews, and we'll continue to fight that fight.
Indeed. And on this program as well, never underestimate the intelligence of your audience. Rule number 1 in journalism.
Agreed. Another story you mentioned, Transnet, that was also doing quite nicely on .com, Alec, them seeking private partnerships to help with the ports. We do know that they were ranked in the bottom 10, I think the latest was, worldwide. I mean,
third last, and fourth last. I don't know who was second last, but anyway, it wasn't one of ours.
No, so we've seen that it's also something that looking at Eskom and some of the other entities, SAA as well. So it seems to be a government policy at the moment, or something to look at. And then the retail darling Sasol, their results came out yesterday, and there's 2 pieces that are running quite nicely. The Shapiro interview from last night, where he looked at Sasol, Naspers, and obviously traveling to the US, he looked at how COVID has impacted businesses in that state. And then our very own Justin Roberts did a little analysis on the share itself and looking at where it is at the moment with its value at just over 200 Rand a share.
Justin, is it still cheap?
It's still cheap, Alec. Where the oil prices and where the chemicals prices are, it is still a cheap share. The market is, these commodity prices aren't going to persist for too much longer. And we've seen that not just with Sasol, we've seen that with the precious metals producers, the gold miners. But for now, they're printing money, and the debt is half what it was this time last year. So management has done an exceptional job there.
Well done, Fleetwood Grobler. Nadia Swart as always, is looking at what's going on YouTube and BizNews TV on YouTube. What are our community watching, Nadia?
So there's quite a few overlaps with the reading community. The top video was the interview of your, the recording of your interview with David Shapiro yesterday on Sasol Naspers, reporting all the way from Boston, I think it was. And then again, our most recent flash briefing video is being very well watched, which covered Zuma's recent hospitalization and Transnet potential privatization and SARS tracing stolen VBS money. And then the third video is the summary of your interview with David Shapiro last week, in which he said that South Africa now needs to roll out the red carpet for investment.
Mr. Shaps, very popular amongst our community. Stuart,
Yes.
as far as the podcasts are concerned?
Very similar to video, Alec. As Nadia mentioned, Shapiro at top of the pops. I think he is a favorite amongst the community. BPH from last night, the full show, and then the flash briefing with Jacob Zuma, hospitalization, and so those are the top 3 podcasts on the radio.
Nadia, what's in the news today?
So vaccine hesitancy is most pronounced among white adults in South Africa, which is struggling to keep immunization centers busy just 3 months into the rollout of its inoculation program. This is what a survey showed, and that only 52% of white adults in the country are willing to get a COVID-19 shot, compared to 3/4 of their black counterparts. Researchers from the Human Sciences Research Council and the University of Johannesburg said in the highlights of a report due to be released on Wednesday. Side effects and concerns that the vaccine will be ineffective are the most common self-reported explanation for vaccine hesitancy, and those concerns were particularly pronounced among white adults. Defence Force Commander-in-Chief President Cyril Ramaphosa says that 10,000 soldiers will remain on SA streets until mid-September in the wake of the recent violent civil unrest. In a letter to National Council of Provinces Chairperson Amos Masondo, which is dated August 10th, Ramaphosa states that the deployment will come at a cost of just shy of 255 million rand. Ramaphosa had initially deployed 25,000 soldiers from July 12th to August 12th. The extended deployment, which is at least half the original number of boots on the ground, kicked in from August 13th and will run to September 13th. According to the president, the soldiers will work with police in the prevention and combating of crime and preservation of law and order across the country. And the Department of International Relations and Cooperation says contact has been made with a number of South Africans in Afghanistan to ensure their safety after Taliban insurgents entered the country's capital, Kabul, over the weekend. The department has established via the SA High Commission in Islamabad, Pakistan, that they are in contact with a number of SA nationals based in Afghanistan to ensure their safety and provide the necessary consular assistance. This is according to departmental spokesperson Clayson Moniello, who said that the SA government has taken note of the unfolding situation in Afghanistan and is particularly concerned by the plight of thousands of displaced people seeking safety and security amid the deepening crisis in Afghanistan.
You have to wonder, Stu, what the people of Afghanistan, what the South Africans were doing in Afghanistan. Certainly in this time, it is not a very pleasant place to have been.
Yeah, you got to question why they were there, and you don't want to make assumptions, but you can sort of get into private security.
We're very good at private security. That's one of the areas that South African exports are high on the agenda. I wonder how much money it actually brings in for the country. Well, let's catch up now on the markets.
Bright Rock believes that with every change in life comes opportunity, and the markets aren't any different.
The daily movement in the markets mean change for us all, sometimes small, sometimes big. This daily market report is made just for you by BrightRock, the first ever needs-meshed life insurance that changes as your life changes.
Justin Rowe Roberts, as always, has been watching the JSE. Justin?
Index was up at 69,100. In the currency markets, the rand was weaker against all the major currencies to 14 rand 93 cents, 20 rand 54 cents to the pound, and 17 rand 52 cents to the euro. Gold is up at $1,791 an ounce. A Kruger rand will cost you around 28,000 rand. Brent crude is down at $69.80 a barrel, and the premier cryptocurrency will put you back 700,000 rand. Financial news, BHP Billiton unveiled the most sweeping change to its business since the world's biggest miner was created 2 decades ago, as it plans an escape away from fossil fuels to shift towards what is called future-facing commodities and clears up some long-standing questions facing investors. BHP will sell gas operations to Woodside and that it will distribute to its owners. The company also $1 billion spending towards a fertilizer and unified structure and shift to a single primary listing in Australia. The shares jumped as much as 9.8% after the flurry of are 10% higher. Michael Berry, the investor made famous by has taken one of Wall Street's hottest stars. Berry's Skion Asset Management contract is of ARC Innovation, the flagship exchange strategy of Kathy ARC Investment Management, which comprises thematic tech-focused bets in 2020. But Wood and ARC have struggled to maintain momentum amid concerns about lofty prices and accelerating inflation.
Well, we will find out more about that Michael Berry versus Kathy Wood debate in just a little while with Stephen Nathan.
This market report was made just for you by BrightRock, the first ever needs-meshed life insurance that changes as your life changes.
Mark Jennings. Well, thanks for being with the BizNews team today. I'm Alec Hogan from our full studio, our virtual studio with Nadia Swart and Justin Rowe Roberts in Cape Town and Stuart Lohman here with me in Johannesburg. Until the same time, same place tomorrow. Cheerio. You've been listening to the Power Hour, brought to you by the team at BizNews.